Hi, I'm Greg Dell, and today's question of the day is, how does Hartford long-term disability work? And Stephen, that's a pretty broad question, but a very common question that a lot of people are asking us, and we found there's been a lot of searches out there for that type of question. So can you give us a good general answer to how Hartford disability works?
Well, a good general answer, I guess, the fact that there's short-term and then there's long-term. So each are going to have their own little nuances of going. So generally, they're going to share similar qualities, making an application for those benefits. Now, short-term is going to obviously only cover you for a limited period of time. Typically, Hartford is around 90 days. More often than not, they are what's known as administering that policy, which just means that they're telling your employer that benefits should be paid, and it comes from salary continuation. However, on the long term, it's usually underwritten by Hartford, which means they're going to pay the monthly benefits. So the way that it'll generally work is most policies usually will pay you a percentage of your pre-disability earnings, which will vary based on the language in the policy. Common is 60% of your pre-disability earnings. You will have the ability to potentially collect benefits out to your Social Security retirement age, unless the policy contains limitations for mental health conditions, certain physical conditions, and also the fact that, just because you get approved for the benefit doesn't mean Hartford won't deny you at some point. So the general idea of how it works is making an application, filling out claim forms, medical records, your doctors filling out forms, and even your employer is going to have to fill out forms as to what your job entailed, any of the financials that you made, things like that. So that's just 30,000-foot view, but in each one of those you could go into a huge long discussion on the small little parts of the claim itself.
And is it a complicated process to get approved for Hartford disability benefits?
Well, it's not a complicated process to apply. You just fill out the forms. To get approved, though, it can be very complicated because people say, hey, I've been paying for this. I can't do my job, so I should get paid my benefit. But it goes much deeper than that. There's a real large analysis into your medical information, what your doctors are stating versus your occupational duties. So it's easy to apply. Doesn't mean it's easy to get it paid.
And does the person have to be unable to perform the duties of their job, or do they have to be unable to do any job in order to get approved for Hartford benefits?
I would say 95% of the time it's going to be, at least for the initial 24 months, on long term, your inability to do your own job. With some caveats to that. Then after that, do any occupation based upon training, education, experience. But I've seen my fair share of Hartford policies, and this is based on the policy that the employer wanted to buy and the premium rates, where from the get-go it's can you do any job. So you really need to understand what your policy says, and that sets the tone of what to expect going forward.
So in terms of how Hartford disability works, it's a very general question. With regard to whatever questions you may have about Hartford disability insurance, whether it's short-term or long-term disability, feel free to give myself, Stephen, or any of our team of disability insurance lawyers. We represent claimants all over the entire country. We always provide a free initial consultation, and we welcome the opportunity to discuss your Hartford disability claim with you.